Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Ken Dolan-Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author, Nancy Saxton-Lopez. We actually saw each other in person just a couple days ago when I was down in New Jersey.
Was nice,
And
Ken.
it was great to see you and to have breakfast together.
Hmm.
And this is a program that we do every Thursday from 6 p.m. to about 6:30, and it is a program that expands on the book that we wrote, The Pet Loss Companion: Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups, which is now available as an audiobook. And so we hope that suits some people's interests
Yeah,
more than reading.
reading.
And so anyway, that's exciting. It's actually narrated by me, which was quite a project, I must tell you. And anyway, if you'd like to write to us, and we hope that maybe you will, and share your story, we'd be happy to receive that. You can reach me at kenddv@gmail.com. You can reach Nancy at nancysaxtonlopez@gmail.com. And you can please let us know if it's okay to share your
Your
story on the
story.
program, or if you'd prefer that we didn't, or you'd prefer that we didn't share certain parts of it. It's always helpful to other people to hear these kinds of stories because it helps them see that they're not
Mm.
alone. And
Yeah.
oftentimes the experiences resonate with a number of
Hmm.
people. You can support our program in many ways, and they're all outlined in the description that accompanies the program. And also, we'd like you to know that we are a friend of Dakin Humane Society in Springfield, Massachusetts. And one of the programs that Dakin sponsors is a pet loss support group that meets over Zoom on the second Tuesday of every month from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's an RSVP link in the description that will get you there. There's no cost to participate. We have people who join us from all over the
All
world,
over the world.
and it's kind of a very poignant and interesting discussion. Lots of good support and ideas are shared. If you RSVP and then you decide that you can't make it, and it would be great if you get back to me and send me a note and just say I'm not going to be able to make it because I'll open the registration for
Hmm.
other people. And please consider subscribing on YouTube if you haven't already, because that helps other people find the program.
Hmm.
And if you have subscribed or if you haven't yet, you can also help the program get more visibility by leaving a comment or a thumbs up, and that would be greatly appreciated. We'd really appreciate that. And let's see. Finally, we'd like you to know that we have a relationship with a company called Bereave. We have
Breathe.
an affiliation with them.
Hmm.
They make beautifully crafted memorial plaques, granite
Absolutely
plaques.
beautiful.
And if you were to purchase one of these from the link in our description, we will get a little gift as part of your purchase price. And so I think that's it. Nancy, you want to get us
Yeah,
started for
sure.
today?
We have a story tonight from Leslie about her sweet Dora. And Leslie, we worked with a year ago when she had two, and her husband had two dogs pass away 6 weeks apart, her Shawnee and her Logan, uh, which was obviously devastating. And there were some medical questions around Logan. And so when Dora, now her beautiful cat, has died, so she wanted to share some information about, for pet parents, about medications and treatments and those kind of things, which I think is really important. So Ken and I are going to share reading. Hi, Ken and Nancy. I initially found your podcast last year when our two dogs passed 6 weeks apart. Thank you for sharing their story. Thank you for the important work you do. I try to let people know about your podcast whenever there is an opportunity. I just recently told our vet who performed at home euthanasia about it. You are a wonderful resource for grieving pet parents. I'm writing to share my story of Dora, our lovely tuxedo short hair cat who passed on Sunday, November 16th. You may share it on your podcast if you find it helpful. My main reason for sharing it is important information about medications, adverse effects, and our role as pet parents to advocate for our babies. But I'll start with Dora's story. My husband and I got married in 2008. I brought a dog and two cats into our relationship, but as you know, there's always room for more. I moved into my husband's home, and around the corner was an animal control shelter. On a whim one day, I suggested stopping by to look at the cats. I immediately spied a small black and white tuxedo in one of the kennels. She caught my eye because she had a mask over her eyes with her markings. We asked to see her, and she very quickly nestled on my lap, purring away. We decided to adopt her. My husband told me recently that the rep told him she'd been there a while and he was worried they might have to euthanize her. It was not a no-kill shelter. We found out very quickly that she was ill after we took her to the vet, and she was diagnosed with giardia. She had been a stray, so that wasn't surprising. She was very small, and I initially thought she was an older kitten, but the vet said she was an adult. He thought she was around 2 years old. Initially, we named her Zoe, but she wanted to explore everything in our house, and we jokingly called her Dora the Explorer, and that name stuck. She even climbed our Christmas tree. Our other two cats didn't really warm up to her, but she became quite friendly with our dog. We realized over the years that she had this warm, friendly demeanor to every living thing that entered our house, whether human or animal. We have many dogs, some we fostered, others we adopted, and she always was happy to be with them. She never let herself be intimidated by the goofball puppies, standing her ground and educating them with a swipe or a hiss. But often, she and the dogs became best friends, napping together on the couch. She was the same way with humans, often being at the front door to greet people. Our neighbors, who sometimes looked after our cats while we were out of town, said she was the greeter cat, hostess to all who visited. Unfortunately, her lovely demeanor did not translate to car rides or going to the vet. When we moved from Maryland to Colorado, she became the devil cat in the car, butting her head against the carrier door. She required meds like gabapentin to even begin to settle down. It was the same at the vet, where we had to medicate her hours before her appointment so they could even begin to examine her. I will admit this difficulty with the vet led to my hesitance in taking her to the vet over the years and may have contributed to her eventual demise. At one point, we had a mobile vet who came to our house, and that was a godsend because she was really good with him. Unfortunately, he retired, and there was not another mobile vet that served our area. She was an incredibly healthy cat. Over the years, she only really had two health problems: a bad tooth that was removed and a recurring herpes virus they think she got from the shelter. Every 4 years or so, she would get what seemed like a bad cold with sneezing, weepy eyes, and a stuffed-up nose. This would lead to her not eating, as she couldn't smell her food, but normally we got her through it with supportive care and an appetite stimulant. 2 years ago, she started to have loose stool, and after numerous tests, found out that she had chronic pancreatitis. But with meds, she was doing well. During the last month or two, we noticed she was drinking more and becoming more finicky with her food. But she had a senior blood test panel every year, and the one that she had less than a year ago, her test results were great. No kidney issues or anything else.
A month ago, she got a recurrence of the herpes virus and became thin. Not wanting to subject her to the longer car ride of 40 minutes to our regular vet, I decided to take her to a new vet in our small rural town. By the time I took her, she was already recovering and eating better, but I just wanted to get her checked out. I expressed my concerns about her drinking and losing weight, but he seemed to chalk it up to the respiratory virus. He said something about giving her an antibiotic injection and listened to her lungs, which he said were clear. He gave us an appetite stimulant and sent us home. The first 2 or 3 days, she seemed fine and was eating better. Then, over the course of the next week, she started yowling like she was in pain, wouldn't eat any food, but was still drinking like crazy and using her litter box. I called the vet back, and they said to bring her in for blood tests. The vet saw her briefly, but didn't recommend anything else. But I knew something was terribly wrong. Over the next 3 days, she got worse and worse, wobbling and stumbling around. We knew she was suffering and decided to euthanize her. We still didn't have her blood test results, but could not let her suffer. I know we could have taken her to an emergency vet, but at almost 20 years old, we were on the fence over what kind of life saving measures to take. I later found out she was in acute kidney failure through blood tests results we got the day after she died. I also found out that the antibiotic injection she got was convenia. Convenia can be well tolerated by many pets. However, the problem with it is that it takes up to 60 days to get out of their system. Once it's injected into their system, once it's injected into their system. So if your pet suffers an adverse effect, there's no stopping the drug or reversing it. I found out it is also excreted through the kidney, so it puts a burden on them. The thinking now is that Dora was suffering some early stage kidney disease, and the drug sent her into kidney failure. I wanted to share her story so some good can come from it. One, to make sure pet parents know what drugs vets are giving them and to ask about side effects. It's okay to ask for an alternative drug if you have doubts. Yes, it can be hard to give a cat medications, but if you're giving a daily medication, there is the option to stop it at any time. Two, that if your pet suffers an adverse effect, it's so important to report it. If your vet won't report it, the owner can contact both the pharmaceutical company and the FDA to report it. I later found out other pets have suffered kidney failure from this drug as well. I did report it. Also, if you feel a vet was negligent, many states, including Colorado, have a veterinary oversight board where you can submit a complaint. I found online that one pet owner whose dog suffered kidney failure from convenia used it to pass a law in California that required vets to give the name of drug and explain its interaction and potential side effect before administering it. It's called Lizzie's Law. We have to be our pet's advocate. I believe vets do the best they can, but they aren't infallible. It's okay and even right to get as much information as we need before okaying our pet getting a medication. Their lives may depend on it. Thanks for listening, Leslie.
Yeah, I mean, this is really important, not just medications, but vaccinations.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, veterinarians, are good people and they usually are very conscientious and clinically, fine. But I think a lot of times over the years, they got used to giving vaccinations every year, right? So you need the Bordetella, Parvo, those things, rabies, or rabies every 3 years, whatever that is. But not necessarily do pets need them every year. So a couple years ago, I found out you can do titers,
yeah, yeah,
so that you
yeah.
can do a titer for whatever vaccination it is, and it may say that they have enough in their system that they don't need another vaccination.
Hmm.
Even with rabies. Now, rabies is a very expensive titer, like it's four
Oh,
hundred and
really?
fifty dollars.
Wow.
But I mean, if you find out that you don't have to give it to your pet, it's better not to have all of that other medication in that
Some states,
vaccination.
like Massachusetts, require it regular. I mean, by law, you're supposed to.
No, you have to have the rabies shot. But if you can prove that there's enough in the system, it's
Hmm.
fine.
Interesting.
However, now also I think New Jersey also has a board that you can, talk to a veterinarian about, issues with a veterinary, treatment.
I would think that there's a licensing board in every state.
Yeah, I wonder if Massachusetts must have it too. But after, I talked to Leslie about these things, years ago, I found out there was a board. Um, but it's hard with medications. I have a client who just moved from New Jersey to Florida, and she today said I took one of her dogs, into you to have a checkup, right? The dog has some kind of digestive issue, and I don't remember what it's called. but was given antibiotics and has
Mm.
been taking antibiotics now for a few years,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So, and she loved this veterinarian, loved him. I mean, so today she's telling me that the veterinarian in Florida said, we don't think that your dog has that. And a Tylenol, I think the antibiotic was, and we don't think that she needs it. So, I think that she needs to come off it, right?
Sounds
And
like I've never heard of that. I've never heard of an animal
yeah,
being on antibiotics for that. Usually they're
for
on
a
it for
long
a
time, right?
course of treatment, but not years.
So, and she was blown away, right? Because she really loved her vet here in
Yeah.
New Jersey. She loved this guy. But that vet in Florida said, we don't even think she has this. So I don't know. I mean, and that's why we have to be so careful, I guess. And this is why Leslie sent this. I mean, we're sorry for, Leslie, your loss of Dora. And they did the right thing. I mean, she was not well and she was 20 and they made that decision, which was right. But, this is why she wanted to write to us to say, hey, there are medications out there. You really just need to know and talk to the veterinarian about side effects, how long they're going to be on it, what is necessary for them, etc.
Interesting. It's we got a comment
Mm-hmm.
from Kara Strum who says, yes, titers are worthwhile. I use them with my dog at the suggestion of my TCVM vet. If the vet is registered with Kansas State University lab, the titers are much cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. So
Interesting to know.
right. Good to know.
Thanks for that, Kara.
Because you don't want to over medicate you don't want to be over medicated yourself. I mean,
Of
sometimes
course,
human
yeah.
doctors do the same thing, but you certainly don't want your pets to be either.
Well, that's a really important point, and one that we should all pay attention to is it's really okay to ask questions.
Yeah.
And I recently I've been having some treatment for Esme, who is right next to me and is sitting on my desk here. And I ask 1,000 questions because I don't want to give them anything that I think might have adverse effects. And you always have to think about the balance of benefits versus risks, particularly as an animal gets to be elderly.
Yes.
And that's something that the vet should never be defensive about. They should appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe most do.
Yeah, I would
And
think so.
and it's the same with our own care. I think it's very important to ask lots of questions about whatever care you're being prescribed or a family member is being prescribed, because you may decide that you not sure you want to do it, or you want to try it and see how it goes for a little bit. And yeah, and so it's very sound advice
Yes.
that we're getting from Leslie on, ask a lot of questions.
And definitely, and if the doctor, the vet, or doctor, human doctor, have an issue with it, then there needs to be, you really got to think about that then,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes, unfortunately, as we get into the corporate world, I do think that in humans and in veterinarians, human doctors and veterinarians, that they are strongly advised to give medications, or strongly advised to do treatments or testing, and that's kind of where our medical whole
I,
medical
I,
world
I,
is.
I changed physicians when my physician kept telling me, pushing statins on me.
Yeah, I
Just
remember
kept
us
and kept and kept, and I was like,
are
I'm
talking
sorry,
about this.
I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm not going to work with this guy anymore.
And look, and again, we are not faulting doctors
No,
or veterinarians. I mean,
no,
a lot of times, they are doing what they think is best.
of course, yeah,
Although it was interesting today because we're talking about this with Leslie's email, but my client didn't. What do you mean she doesn't have this disease? You know, and so and this guy seemed great. However, his belief, and that's where it gets a little dicey. His belief was different than this new
well,
veterinarian's.
yeah, and that's, it comes to down to the fact that there are no absolutes.
No, right.
It's like they use their best judgment, and sometimes they're off. So, for example, my little dog Lily was a little Chihuahua, and she was having some very difficult problems, and she was losing weight. And our vet, who we loved and had been seeing for many years, gave us these injections, which I think we had to give her every day. And at a certain point, I was like, she's wasting. I said to myself, she's wasting away. I told my husband, we got to get her to the University of Pennsylvania veterinary clinic. And I had her scheduled. I'll never forget this. I was scheduled on a Wednesday, and on Monday morning, she had died. And our veterinarian was very kind and loving, but he wasn't, and we were seeing him at least once a week at this point. We were seeing him all the time for this little dog. And I remember telling him, I'm going to take her to UPenn. And he was like, well, it can't hurt, but I don't think it's necessary. Meanwhile, she died a few days later.
Yeah. And this is really, I mean, remember from the group, do you remember that there was a couple that had lost their, I think it was a standard poodle, who was very well known on calendars and everything. And I knew the veterinarian that they went to, and everyone loved this person, right? And, the dog kept chewing on a nail, right? And they thought it was allergies. He kept thinking, oh, it's allergies, these kind of things. And they went back and forth, and they went to the vet a lot. And then at one point, he said, well, maybe we should do some tests or different tests and x-rays. Well, it was cancer.
Yeah.
And at that point, it had metastasized, and the dog died. And he was devastated. He said, I've never seen this before.
It's really interesting. My dogs are always chewing their feet. I should
Now that's allergies, but I mean, 99% of the time it's allergies.
Well, that's the thing, though, right?
That's
99% of the times, you would find that it's allergies, it's yeast.
Right.
That's what it is, and so I'm curious to know how he made that differential. Or maybe they did like a
because it had been so long, right, of this process that something else is happening. And he was a good guy, and yet he was really devastated. I mean, he said, "I've never seen anything like this before."
Yeah.
So, we're all infallible in some ways.
We do the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
We do the best we can, and sometimes we miss things, and that's the way it is with all professions.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Mm-hmm. Nobody's on target 101% of the time. It just isn't the way things are.
But the more what Leslie is saying is true. I mean,
ask any questions and use your judgment, because you know your animal companion more. You know them better than anybody else. Yeah.
That makes the best vet. My veterinarian that I love the most. And he moved. That was so sad. But he sat down with me. He didn't stand up. Mm-hmm. He sat down with me, and he would come over and say, Nance, what do you think? Mm-hmm. And he would say, this is what I'm seeing, but you know your dog the best. Mm-hmm. What do you think about this? And it was so refreshing to have that camaraderie, and that we could have a conversation. And we could come to an agreement at the option that it was presented. And I just thought that just really was so comforting with him.
It makes so much sense, too, because if you, as a practitioner, enter into that kind of collaborative relationship, first of all, it's undoubtedly going to get to the best result, because what he said is absolutely true. I mean, you know your animal companion better than they will. They will know they'll know from the symptomatology and the
technical
side, but they haven't seen the behavior and the development over time. But it's also, to me, like, as I thought about that, I'm like, well, that's a good way to operate from every perspective, even a liability perspective, because you are gaining agreement rather than imposing your judgment. And it's got to work out better that way. And certainly your human clients are going to feel better
Oh my God, I was so
about that.
connected to him. I really
Yeah.
trusted him, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew he was listening,
Yeah.
and I knew that he was being collaborative, like you said,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately he moved, but
As
it was a good
opposed,
experience. So it was the best experience.
I
But
once heard of a veterinarian. I shouldn't laugh, but I should say, she was doing a physical examination of a person's dog, and she was muttering under her breath things like, "Some people shouldn't have dogs." It's like, and the person who
that probably
had
wasn't the
brought
best.
was of course never going to go see this person again. Never.
No, of course not.
I mean, can you imagine
No.
being spoken of, like, not even to, but and this was a loving, caring person, and who knows where that came from? Why? It's just, you hear, but there are people who have no bedside manner whatsoever.
That's true. And either for humans or dogs,
Yeah.
right?
So,
But Leslie, thank you so
Yes,
much
thanks so
for
much.
for sharing your story about Dora. And again, we're sorry about Dora.
we're sorry. She
And
was a beautiful cat. What a
oh,
beautiful little cat.
absolutely. Beautiful. So, Ken, we're not, of course, next for the United States. Please, Thanksgiving is next Thursday,
That's right.
so we
That's
will
right.
not
Yeah, we
be
won't be
in a podcast,
broadcasting. We're going to do one the following week,
right?
and then
Well,
I
the
think-
following week will be a recording because you're going to be
recording.
away.
That's right.
Ken's
So
going
it'll
to
be
be away.
recording.
So we did record one,
Then
so.
I'll
Then
be
you'll be
back, and we'll
back.
have one the following week, and then I'm going to be in Germany visiting my son and his family for 2
And then we'll
weeks.
have a recording.
So we'll have some recorded. We'll have some recorded programs. So,
But please, everyone, take care of yourselves. And if you
Yeah,
are here in the States, please have a lovely Thanksgiving. I think
Yeah.
in UK they have Boxing Day the day after Thanksgiving.
I wouldn't venture
I
a
think
guess
so,
on that, but
but yes. And so please, everyone, take care.
yes, have a good holiday. Take care of yourself during
And
the
thank you,
holidays.
Angela.
Yeah, thank you, Angela, for the happy holidays greeting. Same back at you.
Yeah,
And Nancy, I'll say the same to you. Have a great Thanksgiving.
You
and
too.
we'll talk soon.
we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.